Let's see. Let's see. Let's move that over there. Cool. I think we are actually live. Awesome. Awesome stuff. Okay. Well, I'm Joel Horowitz. I'm the founder and CEO of Center Media AI. Today you are on the our weekly webinar and live session where we just go through, in detail different topics about building growth machines using AI agents. And so, for those of you who are new here to Center Media, um, I would just give you kind of a quick run through of kind of what this looks like. So basically, Center Media is an AI agent operator for ads and growth operations. And so as you go through this, this is kind of what it looks like. So we have four kind of main areas. One I call the campaign kind of IDE, integrated development environment, if you will. This brings together collaboration. This brings together, connections to your ad platforms. It brings together frontier models, not just Claude or rather Opus or whatever the latest is there. I guess the latest now is Fable. I don't know if you guys have tried that, but it's pretty great. So it brings together all of those kind of frontier models. Also allows for autonomous agents. So I can show you kind of what that looks like a little bit. And allows us to also update creative and run some testing for creative. I will tell you that we are not a Gen AI platform. That's not really our primary focus. Really, we're focused on campaign execution, right? And there's a lot that goes into that. And then also, looking at bidding and audience level bids and all of those sorts of things. So for those of you who are unfamiliar, we actually have deep relationships and connections with all of these various ad platforms at this point. So whether you're on Google, Meta, LinkedIn, TikTok, Microsoft, Reddit, X, Pinterest, Snapchat, DV360, all of these ones like DSPs, audio, connected TVs, like you can pretty much advertise anywhere these days using Center. And we also connect to all of the major CRMs, although there was one mentioned to me this week that I never heard of, so I have to look into that one. But HubSpot, Salesforce, Adio, and Pipedrive, so those are all supported. Bunch of analytical tools and connect to like validate your conversions, which is what we're going to be kind of talking about today. We also just added the ability to connect now into read-only into data warehouses. So a lot of people store their historical, performance there, along with other maybe data they want to incorporate. So we just added that this week. So that's net new. We also added in the ability not only to use Center as an MCP server itself. You can also use MCPs inside of Center. So we go the other way, which I think is actually pretty exciting. I'm going to show you kind of what that is starting to look like. So like I said, we bring the best frontier models to the fold for you to use to execute your campaigns. Then we've built, literally, excuse me, hundreds of tools and skills as well to execute across various platforms. We're still learning. In fact, a lot of our skills are proprietary. In fact, we've built these ourselves. Almost daily, I feel like I'm learning more about like all the different ways that people like run these campaigns across even like Google and Meta. Like there's a lot. So we're constantly updating our skills and constantly updating our tools. So if you run into an area where the agent kind of throws hey, you should probably go do this manually, that's probably because we just haven't built the tool yet. So that's something that we're doing. You might ask yourself, well, why don't you just allow the agent to just go learn and figure this out, like, on its own? The reason for that is because it's pretty dangerous, right? And so we're spending real money, we have real clients, and we want to make sure there's guardrails. And that's basically what separates us, I would say, from people all ask me all the time, like, well, why couldn't you do this like just with Claude Code and an MCP server like Google's Ads MCP or whatever? The reason for that is because we want to make sure that we actually execute the campaign and do it in a way that's repeatable, reliable, and dependable, right? So there's a lot that goes into that. And trust me, I've tested all of these platforms quite a lot. And then the last thing is, it's one thing if you have like a smaller, like one brand, that you're working with, right? It's another thing if you're an agency working with like 50 plus clients. I've met with quite a few of them this week, and that makes a big difference. And so collaboration is still very much a team sport when it comes to marketing. And so, you want to be able to share, threads, share documents, share, all sorts of things across an organization, and then manage that securely. So this is basically what this looks like. So we kind of went through a quick intro. I'll give you an intro to Center in a moment. I'll show you how you connect an ad account, how you might connect your CRM, and then how to execute a workflow. Pretty much straightforward. And so, we're recording this webinar. If you're joining us today, feel free to ask any questions that you might have. I'm just going to check really quick with my producer to make sure that we are, in fact, live. So just bear with me one moment. It looks like we are, and it looks like we have, yep, that we're here. This is great. Cool. So I'm just going to keep going. So yeah, just bear with me one quick second. Let's stop sharing just for a second. Check in here. Okay. All right. Okay. So I'm going to reshare my screen. Sorry about that. And get back to it. So yeah, let's share my full screen over here. Cool. So yeah, so this is the webinar logistics. If you're just seeing us live, feel free to go and sign up and join the webinar, and then you can ask questions. If you have any questions about Center or advertising or AI agents in general, like feel free. And then yeah, we'll have some additional resources available to people. I'll show you kind of what that looks like. We actually launched what we call our Crucible program. I'll show you what that means, where you get you get early access to new features coming out on Center. So for example, OpenAI ads, autonomous agents, a bunch of really cool stuff that the team is cooking up. So yeah, so I think the biggest thing is to shift your perspective in terms of how you think about running ads in the era of AI agents. It's going to look more like workflows instead of like tools and pivot tables and downloading and uploading things. I get a lot of people asking like, oh, how do I like export out of Google Ads using Center? It's like, well, don't do that. In fact, like leave the data where it is, and execute, to the ad platforms, capabilities is what I would tell you. So there's a lot of shift going on and change management that goes on with AI right now, as I'm sure you know. Try to be as specific as you can when it comes to like prompting the agent. I think that helps a lot. And then focus on smaller bites of the apple. So instead of saying, hey, generate a whole campaign for LinkedIn and a full funnel campaign with tofu, mofu, bofu, and all the ad campaigns, like try to break it up as much as you can. Like there is a context window. We've done some work to be able to like continue a thread well beyond the window. So we can do things like handing off or compaction. There are models like Opus 4.8 with a 1 million context window, but even though it has that, it's still not a great idea to kind of like do everything at once. So try to break those up into its different parts. I think it's a good idea. So again, we have unified control, autonomous agents, instruction led. The idea is that you don't have to, manage all these different tabs with all the different ad platforms open. You can just go ahead and, and basically just use one agent, right? One interface to kind of manage all of this. So if you happen to be on the webinar today, feel free to share kind of where you're from, what maybe your biggest pain point is, or just share this like on whatever social platform you want, because this will get recorded and shared across all the different social media channels. So feel free to comment after this goes live, or rather after this gets posted those channels. Are you using any AI in your workflow today? Yes or no? Whether it's Center or not, are you like already experimenting? Yeah, I'd be curious. So let's go ahead and dive in. If you're unfamiliar, this is where you can go to register for these weekly webinars. And so we do this every week. We're into, let's see, it's June 11th. Boy, time flies. So we're actually like near the end. So we'll probably take a hiatus for July and then come back, sometime in August, September for the fall and do another 12 weeks with some new stuff. But yeah, so we have quite a few. So today we're going to be talking about conversion tracking and attribution. I think it's a great topic. It's one near and dear to my heart. I don't think you can run good ads unless you are running good conversion tracking. So if we go right over here to Center Media and log in, Oh, I got accepted. So this is pretty cool. So like I got invited to join a workspace. That's great. So I'm just going to join his workspace. That's awesome. Thanks, Diego. So a little shout out to Diego. But yeah, it's very collaborative. So you can just add people to your workspace and you can dive in there and like, help you work on a few things. And you can kind of jump out. So it's very collaborative. So that's kind of nice. I'd love to see how that would work for people who are building this locally. I sincerely doubt you can. Anyway, so like the first thing you'll do is you can jump over to your connections right here. So you see this little megaphone. So just click connections and I'll take you right over there. And you can see I am connected to, some of the main ones, Snap, like Google, LinkedIn. Let's connect to Microsoft and connect to that one as well. So it's just going to open up basically a window to let you, have access. That's it. It's just a one-click deal. It's going to go and look for your accounts, see which accounts are there. So if you have multiple accounts, it'll find them. So you can connect actually more than one account, even if you're serving a lot of people. Even though you have one brand, you might have like an account. And I've seen this, like especially for Google and Amazon ads. I've seen this lately where you'll have an account for like the EU or an account for like APAC, so on and so forth. So that's it. It's like super easy to connect. So now we're connected. You can see, we got YouTube here and so on, which isn't really an ad channel, but that's so you can, excuse me, upload your things there. We have a bunch of other, like you have OpenAI here, so you can actually drop in your keys and connect OpenAI there, which is really quite nice. Um, you can connect Google Analytics. So like this is good for like attribution for sure. So let's go ahead and connect that one. So just go ahead and OAuth into that one too. Piece of cake. Um, so this is connecting right now. So this is great. So again, it's gonna like look for the accounts. Should be straightforward. So just give it 1 second. If you only have one account, I'll just connect that one account, right? So you don't have to really worry too much about that. If you have multiple accounts, it'll connect all of them, right? Or it'll ask you which one you want to connect to. So that's connected. Let's see. So we have Google Drive connected. Google Analytics is now connected there. Let's add Google Tag Manager. That's another really useful one. So if you're unfamiliar with Google Tag Manager, this is how you can basically manage your yeah, by the way, you might see this like Google hasn't verified this app. This has to do with the fact that we've migrated some of the connections from this Neoteric account over to the Center account. So this is my former agency. So if you see that, don't worry. It's not, it's a safe thing. It's just a moment in time. We're just working back through some of the Google OAuth, fun stuff of getting their approvals, which basically means you have to create a video and show how we use this. So actually, let me do. I think what I need is to use a slightly different one. Let's use my Neoteric one actually. Try this one more time. So yeah, you might run into some issues from time to time. And if you run into these issues, just go ahead and use like the Center support over here. You can just start a conversation and say, hey, Google Tag Manager. See, now it's working. So I don't think I had I need to fix the error there, but basically I didn't have accounts on that one. It was on this other one. But you can just go say like, hey, I saw an error, blah blah blah, blah, and then like report it, and we'll get to fixing it. So that one's done, and then post hog we have, and others, but I think that's a pretty good place. Actually, let me add Adio. This is our CRM. So Adio is super simple. So just go ahead and confirm. There's Adio. It's great. Now we have Adio connected. What else? I got to go through and add a few more. Yeah, good stuff. So that's pretty good. I mean, we have Google Analytics, Google Tag Manager, Search Console. You can also add in like Gauge and others. So here's where you see all the analytical capabilities there: Databricks, Snowflake, BigQuery, and others, right? So yeah, and then like I said, you can also add in MCP servers. If you want access to this, head over to Crucible and go ahead and request access to this the beta program. So we're forging new agents, which I think is pretty exciting. So you can do that there. If you want to actually use Center as an MCP, you can go over here. Go ahead and generate an API key right here, and then go ahead and install it on whichever platform you have available. So now that we have this set up, the first thing that you'll want to do is, yeah, obviously connect your accounts. We'll just connect all of them. And then, let's say we're looking at a new website. Let's think of a good website that is fairly well known. Let's just go with Center Media. So like analyze centermedia.ai to right. So that's the first thing you want to do. Just analyze my website, right? And what it's going to do is it's going to basically build a report that's going to look to see if you have pixels present, if you have um, what your messaging looks like really basically if it's ready for ads, right? That's the bottom line. So it's not just looking at the copy and the messaging, but it's also looking at this. And so what it's going to do is it's loading these skills. So like here's a skill like website analysis skill, and actually if you upgrade to an enterprise plan, you can actually customize all of these skills, which is really pretty cool. So like if you're an agency and you're like, you know what, I want to also analyze a website when I onboard a new client to look for other specific things like if they have, maybe they're e-commerce. So like, do they have like a right shopping cart kind of set up? Like, are they, so you can actually customize these skills, which is really pretty cool. At least I think it's pretty cool. And so then it's going to run through this. And so now it's going to create like a document. So you're noticing in the IDE, it's not just the agent, right? So it's also we call this our collaborative like document, or think of it as like Google Docs, but for like agents. Um, and so this is very dynamic. This can show you our creatives that if you want to build, it can show you landing pages. It can generate reports, both operational reports as well as like HTML, shareable reports. So all of that is here as well. So yeah, so it's just going to build a quick report of our website. So let's wait for it to do that. The other thing that it does, essentially, when you do this, it basically stores the website and rather your brand identity, like from a messaging standpoint. And I'll show you what that looks like in a moment, but also from like a visual brand, right? So it'll store your design system, your which includes your font type, your your primary colors, and so on. It'll even pull like some example ads, to kind of figure out how you've been, recently advertising. So that's really helpful because eventually, like that'll go into like, okay, if I want to like optimize certain things, it'll have an idea of like how that should look like, right? So that's great. So that's going right along here. So that's good. Let's just wait a few more moments. So it's just updating, these different capabilities. So you see it's updating the document, looking at it's like generating campaign ideas. So you can always open these up if you're curious, like what the agent's actually doing, and which tools it's running. So you can kind of look at that like here. So that's good. So it's almost done. So we'll just wait a few more moments. In the meantime, just checking to see if we have any other, questions from anyone yet. Um, yep. Okay. That's great. So yeah, so we're just kind of moving along. Great. So actually, Center does pretty well. I need more social proof. Apparently, I think it always says that for everyone. I need to kind of look into why it says that. What it's really looking for. We have all the ad, pixels detected that we're running on right now. We're using Google Analytics, as you saw already. Google Tag Manager. Nope, I'm not using HubSpot or Salesforce. I'm actually using Adio. So I should probably update my skill to check for Adio. I wonder if I can even do that. Let's see. Hey Center. Hey Center. Could you update? Let's see if it does. I actually don't know if it can do this. Update the um, website analysis skill to include pipe, drive, and Adio. It's just curious. And so anyway, so we're missing some things there. Supposedly it's missing this, but CRM web tracking. That's interesting. I don't think you really usually have a CRM pixel, although there is like the form submit for HubSpot, but that's usually covered in Google Tag Manager. Anyways, this will come up with like different personas. So like a chief marketing officer kind of makes sense. Whoops, it's going to go and like update this one more time. So just bear with me. Let's see. So yeah, it's getting the skill. It looks like it can update it. Yeah. So just to clarify, I want to update this skill. Right. We're going to do this later. I'm not going to do this now, but anyways, yeah, it can update skills for you on the fly. We also have performance marketing director. Makes sense. Here's a messaging, playbook that you can use. Here's a bunch of headlines for Google and creatives. Reasons to believe. So it does a really good job of like laying this out. Here's some headlines. So anyway, so it kind of goes through. It's kind of looking at me compared to like some of these folks. I don't know if those are the right competitors, so we can go back in and edit those. Those probably are not the right competitors for us. So then what you can do is go into settings and go over to brand. And now you'll notice like, okay, here's the center, language, right, that it just created. So you can add more here. So like there's CTA text, right, that it found. You could add in more details here. You can add in competitors there. It's pulling in like some of these images like I dropped in. So these are like not really creatives. These are like just images that I copied in because you can drag and drop stuff from your desktop. And so just ask the agent like, hey, is this working correctly? So on and so forth. And so, yeah, so then you can come back here after you analyze it and say, okay, that's great. And so now that you've analyzed this, now that you have analyzed our website, please review our our ad campaign performance. And so now we're going to kind of get into like goes towards, you know, are your conversion tracking like set up correctly or not, right? And so it's going to look at the performance and we'll see. And so we'll see what it says and let's kind of go from there. So again, it's going to go ahead and launch the agent. It's looking at this. So, these are test accounts. We can ignore those. This is also test account. So we got to go back in and check to see Google Ads account right here, right? So let's activate that one. Activate Microsoft and activate that one, and so on, right? Let's do some of those, some of these, one of those, and so on. So we're just activating some campaigns here. Great. Let's just go with pull the LinkedIn ad campaigns and see how they're doing. So I just like type like very basic skills. I mean I could be more specific. So I'm kind of violating my own rule, but it works really quite well for this. Excuse me. So yeah, we're just gonna kind of go through this and it'll fetch the LinkedIn performance. So you just kind of look at that here. And so you can see what it's doing. It's going to pull the last 30 days. So it defaults to 30 days. So like I said, you can always expand this to see kind of what it's, get the input, what the output is. And so you can always tweak this. If you want 90 days, ask for 90 days. If you want 7, ask for 7, and so on. And so it has some flexibility there. There you go. So now we can see, okay, like this one, this is boosting engagement. The boosted engagement ones tend to work quite well. These ones are not working well, and that's why they're paused, right? So there's like some issues there. They're creating some budget, right? So they have not really good CTRs. That's true. So yeah, want me to dig into conversion? Yeah, yes. I kind of did this purposely. Let's dig into conversion tracking for LinkedIn. Okay, so we can kind of do that here. So there it goes. We're gonna figure out what's going on with these campaigns. Quite interesting to me. So it's going to diagnose what's going on. So it's looking at LinkedIn. It's looking at the insight tag firing. And it's looking at conversion data from Center's own pipeline. Because, yeah, we have our own CAPI system that you can use in settings if you go to conversions and settings and kind of use that there if you want to do like server-side tracking. So it's going to diagnose kind of what's going on. So we'll see what it says. So, yeah, again, you can look at LinkedIn ad, create conversion, verify website tracking, diagnose tracking. So it's running some tools to kind of see what's going on here. And we'll just give it one more second. All righty. Okay. Yeah. So, yep, let's see what it comes back with. Okay. Want me to, yeah. What's the diagnosis? How do you spell diagnosis? Diagnosis? I'm like terrible at spelling. There you go. Three things. It already gave me the diagnosis. Sorry, it's up here. So I'll just cancel out of there. So it's saying what's working. Yep, it is firing. It's on GTM. It has 2 conversions, so that's good. It's live, but the core problem is Cinter's own pixel recorded that. Okay, so Cinter has some stuff. Okay, so let's see. 3 things to fix. Okay, go ahead. Okay. Install the, okay, let's fix these issues. Let's fix these conversion issues. Adio is connected. Let's just see if it'll address these things. So yeah, pretty good there. By the way, this is so this is the readiness score now. So this tells, so this will stay updated. So you'll notice these things up here. It'll keep an eye on how many things are connected. It'll basically, so these are little indicators to show like how, it'll kind of keep tabs on how you're doing, which is really quite nice. Red, yellow, green. So let's see how this does now as we kind of go along. And it's going to check it. So it's pretty straightforward. Yeah, the other thing you'll know is like you can actually call other agents. So as I was saying, we use other models. So like if you want to do creatives, optimizer, analysts, there's a lot more stuff you can do there. But I'll leave that to you to do another time. So yeah, we're going to go through and it's looking at kind of what is maybe amiss with this. And so we can just fix it right here in Cinter. So pretty useful, right? I'd be really curious if, so let's see, it's saying, let's see, go ahead. Yep. Okay. Continue. And I confirm. Go right ahead. That looks fine. Oops, I wrote confirm wrong. Let's see. We'll see how this goes. I think it's gonna get this sorted out. But yeah, you can do all this from within Cinter. Any questions so far as I'm kind of going through this from anyone? Anybody? Oh, not yet. Okay. Okie dokie. So yeah, it's going to create a conversion in LinkedIn, which is quite nice. So it runs this, creating the LinkedIn. There you go. Easy peasy. Oh, I have a notification. Oh, yep, there it goes. So it's so by the way, so we also have these notifications. So when an agent runs, it'll not just notify you, but it'll notify people on your team. So like, oh, so you can see what your other team. Yep, that's done. So there you go. So that's all done. Now tracking conversions. That's great. Okay. Okay, let's make it bulletproof. Go ahead and make this bulletproof. Fine. Let's see what it does. And let's see where this goes. Yeah, and by the way, I didn't pause my LinkedIn campaigns. The autonomous agent did, by the way. So that's another thing I'll show you in a moment. So it's really quite nice. I just noticed that because it automatically noticed that my conversions weren't being tracked. And so it went in there and actually paused them for me. Okay, well, we'll do this later. I don't know my exact thank you pages, but we'll do it later. But what I'll show you is this, is basically, yeah, if you go to settings, and then if you sign up for Crucible, which is our program, you can then get access to these autonomous agents. So check this out. So this is running these agents. See this one? So it's running my Google Search Console keyword. So it's monitoring that daily, looking for anomalies daily. This is the LinkedIn one that's monitoring daily. It last ran 2 hours ago. So this is the thing. So you can open this up. You can see exactly the prompt that the agent used. So this is not a black box like autonomous agent thing. Like other people that say you have autonomous agents, they basically have like reports that they're creating, which isn't really useful. Like this is actually running the agent for you, but it's also transparent, right? So it's looking at this prompt to make sure that it's working, and you can give it different levels of control. So you can say it's a freelancer, so show me before you act. It's a fractional, like tell me after, right? And gives you a daily summary, or it's like fully autonomous. Like you just hand this off to them as like if they were an agency. So you can kind of do this on a per agent basis, which is really quite nice. So I can change this here. Done. I can go up here, look at this one. There you go. It's just working. So you have all these really cool autonomous agents. So like you can run those across, anything, and they burn, credits just as if you were a normal, user. So it's really simple that way, right? It's just, basically running as if it was another person on your team. Like I think that's how it should work. It shouldn't be like this mysterious thing. I think it's just running the way you would expect it to run. But yeah, I mean that's kind of it. I would say from when it comes to conversions, like I said, we have our own conversion platform here. So you can add a website, right? So like if you wanted to add like centerai.com, you can just add it in there, piece of cake, and then install this in Google Tag Manager, install it there. And then when you do that, you can have Cappy fan out, which means that you can now just add in destinations. So I can just add in like Reddit ads, right? Okay, great. And then I can add the pixel ID, right, for that new ad account. And that's it. Then that's all I have to do. And so like if you look at what we're doing here for our side, I'm running it across LinkedIn, Reddit, Meta, Google, TikTok, X, Microsoft, Pinterest, Snapchat, OpenAI. So pretty cool, right? So I can just fan out all of those to all of those different ad platforms without having to like go back into GTM, or you can just do it from Center. It makes it really easy. So it's really great, right? So that's kind of the latest there. But yeah, super useful. Just delete this as well. Yep, just remove it. And that's kind of the gist of it. I don't know if there's any other questions, but that's kind of what I want to show today on how to do conversion tracking with Center and how to fix, your common bugs when it comes to conversion tracking. Anyways, if there's no other questions, I'm going to end the webinar here. Thank you so much for everyone who joined today. Hit me up on social if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, and look forward to see you next week. Thank you so much. Bye for now.